What's happening, people? Welcome back to episode 10 of the Don Diaries. And today we've got a very special guest in, David Hatt. Thanks for coming in, mate. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Yeah, no worries at all. I was just saying there that you've been on like Colin Cambro's podcast and it's a bit more kind of serious. Can't promise that you're going to get that. I mean, it's going to be a more of a kind of like chilled, laid back kind of conversation.
Perfect,
mate.
I'm good with that.
So, yeah, the basis of the kind of podcast, every kind of guest that I get on, it's almost like their kind of diary entry, right? I want to kind of go through like your life, how you've got into the position that you're in just now. There's obviously a reason that you're sitting here, obviously. So, what do I kind of need to understand about young David?
Young David.
I
was always quite attention seeking as a kid. I always used to put on little shows in my house with my mum and dad, and then I don't know if that just stemmed from not getting attention as a kid. But, youth, I done sport karate for like 10 years, competed all over Europe.
Just a karate there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so I done martial arts for a good chunk of my life. That's probably what got me into sport, which led into wanting to gain a little bit of weight for sport, led into the weight room, led into personal training, and that kind of stemmed, I suppose, from there. And actually I was very, very skinny growing up, so the first kind of experience with the gym and with that sort of lifestyle was just to gain a little bit of weight, gain a little bit of muscle.
And what age did you start the karate at then?
I've done that from the age of like 9 to 21 or something.
Right, okay, so you don't do that anymore, no?
Nah, I stopped that when I was 21. I was spending like fortunes doing that and making no money. Like I was traveling all over Europe and stuff like that. And I wasn't quite good enough to make money from it, and you know, in fact, there's no money in it. It's
yeah, I know, there's not really. I actually did karate as well when I was young, but I think I was only up to about age 7 or something.
I feel like everyone does like taekwondo or karate or something like that.
You don't want to fuck with me, mate. I've got like 2 tags on my yellow belt or whatever, man. You know what I mean? You don't want to mess with me, man. I know. So when you kind of grew up then, did you come from like a really kind of like supportive kind of household as well? Or? Yeah,
I came from a pretty normal kind of background. I've got 2 big brothers. We grew up probably that last era of kids that played outside. We were big, like we were never in the house. We were always growing up. We were always outside growing up. Pretty decent family life. Mum and dad split up when I was younger, but it wasn't too traumatic. I can't say I've got any sob story. I've got no rags to riches story. I came from a pretty normal background. I had good influences growing up. I was above average smart-wise. Nothing special, but definitely smarter than the average guy in Castlehead High School.
Probably way smarter than me as well.
I don't know about that, but I had a pretty like normal upbringing.
Cool.
Went a lot of holidays growing up. Mum and dad valued like that a lot more than actually. I mean, I never get nice clothes growing up. Everyone was wearing Lacoste trackies and K-Swiss, and my mum would buy me like a pair of Gola shoes. So I get slated for that, but looking back, I'm grateful. Like we had a lot of like good experiences and stuff like that growing up. So I'm grateful for it now. But at the time, I hated my Gola shoes.
Yeah, I don't even know if I remember Gola.
You know, Gola?
I know.
Like, that's how bad it is.
How old are you? Sorry,
I'm 29.
So you're 29, right? Okay, so I'm 23, so 6 years younger, man. Remember like Kappa and that?
Kappa came back for a while.
I know. Back to back like Kappa, man.
Yeah,
I know. So you'd mentioned then, obviously, you were kind of coming to the end of like your karate. Were you still doing karate, and then you started going to the gym to do weights? Was that to bulk up for karate, or? Yeah,
so I used to compete at like I think I was minus 61 kilo at as an adult, which is very light.
Yeah, very light.
It's pretty light. So I wanted to just put on a bit of muscle for that. Started to go to the gym. I had some really good karate coaches that took me kind of to the gym and showed me the basics. So I actually had such a good influence in the weight room from like a young age. You know, most people kind of start weight training and they just go with their mates and they've not got a clue what to do. I went with older guys from like the get-go, so I always had quite a good understanding like from the get-go, so that was good. And then started gaining a little bit of muscle. I was one of these people that always had abs, but like skinny abs.
Yeah, you still do. I'm jealous.
Still one of those people. I can be fat and I'll get abs. But,
fuck you, man. Then, I eat one chip and that's him gone, man.
So yeah, I just kind of I enjoyed, and then I slowly kind of started enjoying the gym and being athletic and, you know, training for strength and muscle and performance in that sense than I did actually competing and actually doing sport. So that kind of naturally transferred into people asking me advice and asking me, you know, how did you get a six pack? And I was like, I was born like this.
Yeah.
So that kind of progressed into people asking me like how to get in shape as what age would I be, 19, 20 or something like that. And then I worked in IKEA actually at the time. Didn't know really what I wanted to do. I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to work here until I kind of figure out what I want. And then decided to do a personal training course at, I think it was 19 or 20. So it's like 9, 10 years ago.
Right, okay.
done that and then started in the industry and
not looked back since.
Well, I've looked back. It's been a pretty cool journey so far.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when you said that you were a very, very skinny kid growing up, do you feel that had any sort of kind of negatives at all? Did you ever get like picked on for it or nah?
Nah, not for that. I mean, I wasn't like anorexic thing. Nah, I wouldn't have said bullying was ever like something that happened in my life. Like you get slagged, you're for the West of Scotland, you get slagged for anything growing up, like having goal issues. Yeah. But nah, I'm not one of these people that's like got it. Like I always think of these podcasts and you hear these stories and almost everyone's got like a really traumatic story and they came from this and they battled all this adversity. I've genuinely been really, really fucking lucky in my life. I've had good influences, I've had a good upbringing. I've had a fairly like upward trajectory, like year by year. Don't be wrong, there's been some hard times, but I've had a pretty like lucky ride of it so far. Maybe something still will happen. Maybe I'll get hit by a motor when I
don't say
walk
that,
outside.
Man. Please don't say that, man. But yeah, so just a pretty kind of normal upbringing.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, man. So in IKEA then you're obviously going to the gym more and more and more. What was it that just clicked and you're like, nah, fuck this, I want to go and do personal training, I want to help people out?
Did you know what? It wasn't, I've not got one of these, I really wanted to help people. I actually didn't. I just didn't want to work in IKEA. I was like, I need to do something else. And I was like, so the wanting to help people came later on when I seen, you know, the benefit and the kind of impact I was having. But it wasn't a case of like, oh, I really wanted to help people that were skinny to gain muscle or people that are fat. I actually didn't care when I was younger. Like I was so self-centered, I suppose. My sole goal was just to make my life a little bit better. And I was like, do you know what? I'm not happy in IKEA. I don't have a career path. I don't have anything. I was like, at least personal training might be the kind of escape, or like it might be a career path. And it was like, worst case, go back to IKEA. So
yeah, no, I think that's very open and honest for you to say that as well, because I feel like there's so many coaches out there. It's like, oh yeah, I fucking started because I love helping people and all that. And it's like, oh, no, you didn't. You want to make a wee bit of money. Pretty much that's what it is. So yeah, no, it's open and honest for you to say that. So how did that kind of work out? How did it transition? Was it a case of you went and done your qualification and business just started kind of booming, or was that a bit of a kind of slow and gradual build up?
Nah, I would say things moved pretty quick. I had a good network. I like went out a lot when I was young, so I had quite a strong network of friends and family like straight off the bat. So when I first started coaching people, I was training people's mums, and I remember I didn't drive at the time. Actually, one of my first clients used to have to pick me up at 6 a.m. So that's my rags to riches.
That's cool though.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So I didn't pass my driving test. I was like 21, so I had one of my clients used to have to pick me up. So that was again a driver to like make more money, and get, you know, be able to afford driving lessons and do my test and whatever. So nah, to be honest, like from a business growth standpoint, again, it did move like very quickly. I'd kind of given myself a year. I was like, right, I'll do IKEA and personal training. Like,
oh, so you done both of it? Oh, right,
I did. I said I'd do that for a year, and 4 months into doing both, I was like, do you know what? I think I can quit. So quit. And then was working in exercise for less in Renfrew, which, to be honest, I'd recommend any new PT does. Like, work in a budget gym initially, like you learn so much. You're exposed to so many people. So I'm kind of grateful for that experience. I wouldn't, you know, go and do that again now type thing. But if I was to go back, or I was to tell someone else that was maybe breaking into the industry, like definitely work in a budget gym initially. It's such a good way to kind of meet a broad variety of people and train a variety of people. Some of the best clients I've ever met like came from that, and are still friends or clients even. They're clients of mine still. So started there. 6 months in, it was like full-time personal training.
Amazing.
And then that just it honestly did snowball and grow pretty quick. I've been posting content on Facebook/Instagram for like 10 years now, which is actually nuts.
That is crazy. It is crazy, because you always just think, oh, it's maybe been like kind of 4 or 5 years or so you started posting, but you've been on the grind like since way back.
Facebook content, like, I used to love Facebook. Like, the likes you used to get in Facebook were wild. Like, I used to get more likes on Facebook than any Instagram posts.
Seriously, because that's interesting.
You would have missed that.
Probably. I know, like, I missed that. I don't even really go on Facebook at all anymore. But
nah, it's not something that we use now either. But it was like, that was the start.
The thing, back in the day.
So yeah, I kind of started putting myself out there, and to be honest, nobody, certainly from Renfrew, Paisley, was trying to grow on social media. Like, no one at the time. So that was good. That probably set me apart. That definitely kind of gave me a little bit of an upper hand on most personal trainers who were a wee bit more kind of backdated. Because I mean, things like online coaching and posting content, it's a relatively new thing. Yeah, no, it is. Especially for it being obviously 10 years ago. It was probably non-existent, obviously, back when you were doing it. What kind of things was it that you were posting then? The funny stuff ever. I actually remember posting something once, and it it was like a collage of photos, my six pack, and it was like 3 meal preps in the same photo. I remember this guy, I can't remember his surname. His first name was Adam. I cannot remember that for the life of me, his surname. This guy commented on Facebook, absolutely slaughtering me.
Did they roast you?
It's this guy.
Yeah.
And I just remember all my mates jumping on it, like, who do you think you are? He's trying to better himself. And, and it was like the first bit of like online hate I got.
Yeah.
So
I love a wee bit of online hate. It's funny, man.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Well, I used to kind of go after all the bodybuilders and slate all their methods back in the day. So like I always created that beef with people. So there was that little bit of like controversy.
But that gets you attention though, obviously. It gets you clicks. So.
I don't do it now because I just have zero patience. Like, I can't be arsed sitting arguing with people online, so I don't do it now. But I mean, it's a great method. You look at people like James Smith, like that is their method of growth, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, I've been posting stuff online for like 10 years. I definitely haven't grown that much from a social media standpoint the last 2 or 3 years, but from a business and, you know, client standpoint, that's continued to grow for the last 10 years.
And talking about then, just going back quickly to exercise for less, see today, do you think it's key for people that are coming into the industry to work firsthand with one-to-one clients before moving online? Because see, nowadays I feel like everybody's like an online coach and you don't need any qualifications and there's no regulations or anything at all. So do you think that you need to have that one-to-one, or do you think it's fine just to move fully online?
I think it makes you a much better coach. I think if you've got one-to-one hands-on experience, I think it makes you a better coach. I think you get a broader understanding. Can you do it without it? 100%. I know loads of coaches that have never trained a client in person in their life, but they're phenomenal at what they do because I mean, coaching's communication. So if you're a great communicator and you've got that skill from the get-go, amazing. But coaching people one-to-one in person builds that communication. So if you're maybe not a good communicator, you need that, in my opinion. Some people are naturally like, they just get the gift of communication. They can speak to people. They've got a nice way with people. They know how to get their point across. If that's the case, maybe you can kind of skip that. But I still think the best online coaches generally that I know personally, I've done like an extensive period of time one-to-one coaching. I still do the odd session. I don't charge for it. It's just my online clients. I'll get them in, but even like I'm going to train someone tomorrow actually, but like I don't do it regularly. I don't advertise it. I don't take blocks or anything like that, but I'll train the odd one-to-one the odd online client in person, and I still think you gain quite a lot from that.
Why is it that you kind of still do that to this day, even though that you're so busy? Is it the love of it, or is it because you feel like you're still learning things as you go on?
Do you know what? It's kind of keeping your foot in the door. Like I've went extended periods of time where I've done none of it, and then when you do a session, you're like, shit, actually, I need to brush up. Or I think it helps massively with. I think it helps massively with coaching clients online. Like being able to correct someone's form in person has such a transfer to when they send you videos over and you're trying to fix things there. That's part of it. But you know what? Part of it's actually just building a relationship with people. Part of it's just being able to, like, I'm lucky with Commando, the gym that we work from, I'm lucky to be able to just jump in there and grab people for a session now and then. So I wouldn't have said I don't need to do it. I don't even charge my clients for it. I enjoy it for one, and I think it just kind of keeps your foot in the door from a coaching sense. So you don't kind of lose your groove, you know? Yeah,
lose your groove, I like it. And when you were doing the one-to-one PT at Exercise for Less, how long were you there for?
So I was in Exercise for Less for 3 years, moved to Commando for a year, moved to Dubai for a year, moved back to Commando for 6 months, and then I've been online for the last 3.5 years.
We'll get into the Dubai one, all right? We'll get into the Dubai thing in a second, but why was it you were there? Not for so long, but were you, was it because you enjoyed doing the one-to-one, or did you have in your head that you wanted to kind of move fully online?
Oh, I had no intention to move online.
Oh, like, did you not? And that's why I wanted to ask you, because it's usually different. Usually people get into the industry and it's just a dying to move fully online.
That's definitely the case now, but online coaching wasn't a big thing 5-6 years ago. Like it's genuinely blown up in the last 5 years.
Because of COVID, I think, as well.
100%. And I actually had a client, it's probably one of my biggest mentors. He owned pizza shops, of all things. In fact, Woody's Pizza, do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
Woody's.
Is that?
Sean McCready.
Oh, so I coach Jade.
Oh, class.
Yeah. I coach Jade McCready as well.
Yeah.
Pizza's class.
Amazing.
Shout out Woody's Pizza.
Shout out Woody's. So her dad, he was very into like personal development, NLP, things like that. And he was one of my first clients that kind of exposed me to that world. And he was like, would you never just go online and, you know, you could work from anywhere? And I was like, no chance. I was like, you need to be a pro bodybuilder. You need to be an athlete. You need to be like cover model look, because that's all that online coaching was back in the day. Like the average guy like me that was more of a lifestyle coach wasn't really a thing, wasn't really a big thing. So I didn't consider online coaching until I moved to Dubai, which was like a year later. After that.
And let's talk about Dubai then, because you've been quite open on social media that probably didn't work out as best as you were hoping to. So what actually happened when you were out there?
So I moved out there just based on, I was doing really well here. Like I had a full one-to-one diary, I had group coaching, I was making really good money. Like I was enjoying life to an extent, but I was also like, there's more to this. I want to do a little bit more. I'm still young, I want to go and travel. So I'd been to Dubai on holiday once and I was like, do you know what, this would be an easy place to go and live. Like, everyone speaks English, do you know what I mean? Like my stepsister lived out there at the time. In fact, she still lives there. So yeah, I moved there thinking that I was going to go out there and build this massive one-to-one empire and train all the sheikhs and whatever else.
Oh, so you were going out there to still continue the one-to-one?
Yeah, I had still no intention to do online coaching. So I was moving out there to do one-to-one coaching. So done that for like 6 months, but I mean, I had 8 clients across that 6 month period. I was living off my savings, and then any money I was making from one-to-one, I was spending on getting mad at the weekend, to be honest.
Was it?
So yeah, I had no intention to do online coaching. I almost fell into it because I was like, shit, I need to make money here. Like, it's so hard to build a in-person business out there. So competitive, way more competitive than what I had intended on. So I actually just approached, I think probably 12 to 15 of my old clients, like one-to-one clients from back home. And I was like, I'm going to do some form of online challenge, like a 6 week, you know, who can lose the most fat or whatever. And that's kind of what started online coaching. So I done the first intake and it was like 12 people. And then I was like, fuck me, this is good money for way less time. A lot of effort still.
Is this whilst you were still in Dubai that you were building this up?
Yeah, this is still in Dubai. And then it was like 12 people, 30 people, 55 people, 85 people. Like every intake that I did just snowballed, like grew and grew and grew. Got better results online than I had ever got in person, which blew my mind. I was like, how are people getting better results now? And I was like, well, I've got an understanding of nutrition now. I've got an understanding of what clients actually need. So yeah, the first 6 months I just done a little bit of in person, started to build it online last 6 months, and then I decided I was going to move back home. And then by the time I'd moved back home, I had like 80 clients at one point, 80 online clients, and I had a waiting list of about 120 people at one point. And then that's when I hired 2 coaches like the month after I moved back home.
So that's kind of what I wanted to lead into. Obviously, you're the owner of MTN Coaching. Is it the biggest fitness brand in Scotland?
So there's a caveat to this. It's the biggest online coaching brand in Scotland, but it's probably the only online coaching company. You know, like
100%.
Everyone does online coaching as a solopreneur or, you know, themselves, maybe one other person. It's the only company that I've seen in Scotland that has multiple coaches, has various staff members.
Yeah, no, I've not seen any other company.
So yeah, I say it's the biggest, but it's the only one. So I think it is the biggest. There's nothing to compare it to. So,
okay.
That's how I take
no,
that
but I would say as in like the biggest kind of online coaching brand, as in like the most amount of clients. But it's not just about, you know, the amount of clients that you've got. It's everything that you do, the 12-week peaks obviously that you do as well. But we'll touch on that a wee bit kind of later down the line. Let's retract back a wee bit. See, just quickly talking about Dubai as well, do you think when it didn't work out there because you just weren't kind of like committed enough, or were you chasing like a lifestyle rather than the actual business? Or
I mean, I was just getting into personal development. I was just understanding like business and the kind of frameworks of building a business, but I was also doing that alongside, like, I went out every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. Like, I was drinking more than I ever have in my entire life. So I was in such a weird headspace because I was in the, like, you know, oh my God, like this place is amazing. Like, what is going on here? But equally I was down quite a lot because I was like out there alone, essentially, a wee bit isolated, and struggling to like build a business. And then coupling that with getting fucking steaming every weekend. Like,
I know it's not going to help the old
head. It's a recipe for disaster, to be honest. And then I kind of like screwed on it a little bit, started drinking a little bit less, started training a little bit harder again, which was more like of me, like that's kind of who I am, or who I was. And then things started to get better. Surprise, surprise, if you stop getting mad with it, your life generally gets better.
I know, listen up, Scotland.
So then, yeah, like the online coaching started to take off and I was like, wow, I think I can actually like grow this into something. But yeah, Dubai was a like tough year, but I made it tough for myself by going out all the time.
Yeah, I think obviously I was in Dubai a couple of months ago now. You hit the nail on the head. See, when you go over there, you're like, what is this place?
Yeah, it's a bubble.
It is, and it doesn't feel like your actual living real life.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I came back home, I've honestly never been sadder to come home from somewhere, but it's just because it was so different.
Yeah.
So you going for Dubai, walking about, to then walking about Renfrew and Arcleston, and I was like, fucking hell, man, like this is tough going. But that's good you started to screw the nut a wee bit and obviously getting more clients. So you come back, you're very, very busy, you've got a waiting list. This is when you're like, shit, I need help now.
Yeah. So that was 2019. So in 2019, I took on 2 coaches. Dale is still with us, OG. And it went phenomenally well. Like, we had a waiting list from the get-go. I coached them on how I coached. So they just both worked under my name. So it was just like, it was another boy, Ryan. Ryan and Dale, they worked for me under my Instagram name at the time. So it was kind of weird. So that was the kind of full year. And I was like, do you know what? This needs to be a company. This can't just be like David Hatt and 2 coaches.
Yeah.
It made no sense. So I was like, fuck it, do you know what? I'm going to like launch an actual company. I'm going to open up a limited company. I'm going to take things a bit more seriously. So 2019, 2 of them just worked kind of underneath me, grew, like continued to grow. Like, I think the 3 of us had between kind of 40 and 60 clients like year round. Started churning out really good results. We kind of developed a system of like exactly how we coach, kind of had a framework.
What was that system?
Do you know what it was? It was actually realising that people, one of the biggest things was actually giving people meal plans at the time, and meal plans that were based on flexible food choices. So like the stuff that you cook, the recipes that you do were the stuff that we were including in clients' plans, and nobody, like, certainly from Glasgow, was doing that at the time. It was very much like, if you got a meal plan, it was a bodybuilding meal plan of chicken and rice, or they said, you know, fuck off and just track your macros, which I'd tried getting clients to track their calories for like 5 years and nobody was bought into it. So I was like, you know what, why don't I just make a meal plan exactly based on what they want? So like, what do you actually eat right now? And then they'd tell me, and I'd just make calorie calculated versions of like all of those meals. So that was one big thing that set us apart at the time. You know, wrong, that's something that everyone does nowadays. So that was something that set us apart. And then I think something that I've always been big on is unrivaled accountability. Like, we speak with our clients daily. Like, there's not like a speak to me on your check-in day. Like, it was, when you need me, let me know. Like, we'll jump on a call. I'll message you so frequently. Like, my response times to messages still are like unbelievably quick. I think that's one of the biggest keys. I said, especially at the beginning of any business, you need to be able to communicate quickly with people. People want a response fast, especially when it's coaching clients and they're asking you things and they're worried about dropping their calories, or they're worried about what to do at the weekend. If you can give them a reply and kind of settle their mind straight off the bat, like, people appreciate that massively. So
yeah, no, that's really interesting, because I've never actually kind of really deeped it like that, like the fast replies. But like you said, they could be sitting stressing like the whole day, like, oh fuck, I really want him to get back to me. Whereas if you're just right there, you can kind of nip it in the bud nice and early, and then you kick on from there. So when you brought on the 2 coaches, was it, did people know that they were signing up to them and not you?
Yeah, this was a challenge initially, because neither of them, both the coaches, Dale and Ryan, Ryan Atkin was the other coach, had just left their full-time jobs, or they were in the midst of leaving their jobs. So they weren't known as coaches, but they were known, like, they were in shape and they trained, and they didn't really have a social media presence. So it was very much like I had to coach them to build a social media presence, and to coach and to learn, like, you know, to communicate with people. They were all learning that as they kind of went, but people were still coming to work with me. I was then having to sell them. So that was definitely a struggle initially, but both great guys, both great personalities. So it didn't take long for people to kind of buy into them as well. But yeah, that was a challenge. And I think that's a challenge most coaches have when they go to hire someone. People still want to work with, you know, me. Maybe not nowadays as much, like, because I've got a company, but certainly back then people were like, no, I want to work with you. And I'm like, well, I'm not taking anyone, but this guy's doing the same thing, like, I promise. And I'm also kind of half involved.
With that, the reason that I asked you, I'm in that kind of situation myself right now. So I've got to a point where I feel like the only kind of like bottleneck in the business is me, because I'm trying to do too many kind of spinning plates at once. So I'm close to being on like kind of 3-digit clients, but it is very, very hard, like doing like 15, 20 check-ins Monday to Friday, whilst obviously, you know, it's not just the check-ins, you need to do the communication, changing plans, etc., etc., etc. So that was the question that I wanted to find out, because I was like, see, if I brought on somebody, I feel like everybody would be coming on the sales call. I feel like I'm quite good at closing sales calls and stuff. And then at the end, I would be like, Oh yeah, but you're not actually coming on with me, you're coming on with somebody else.
Yeah, that, I mean, it's part of growth, I suppose, but it's very hard. It's even harder under a personal brand. I presume they would be working under, you know, Adam Donnelly.
Yep.
Like that's hard. It's much easier if you were to create a company like MTN. For me, allowed it to be like, well, you're not working with David Hatt, you're working with MTN.
Yeah.
So that's an easier way to do it. But you, initially, it probably needs to be like they work under you. It's the hardest thing. Like, it's the hardest thing to actually give up a little bit of control as well, because like from the get-go, like Dale and Ryan couldn't do what I was doing because I'd been doing it 5 years and they'd been doing it 5 minutes. So like they weren't where I was. So they weren't going to be able to deliver exactly what I wanted straight away. So there was a lot of like teasing and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, both incredibly fast learners and picked it up quicker than I've ever seen anyone pick something up. But yeah, letting go of that little bit of control it's still hard. Even like 10 years into owning business or like running a fitness business, it's still the hard thing to do, to kind of delegate and let things go.
Yeah, because I've always just wondered that with myself, how would it be actually kind of transitioning kind of clients? But did you find then, see when you then brought them on, that everything just kind of picked up from there, like you're so much more efficient? What were the actual benefits of them bringing them on? Well,
obviously, I could only coach, let's say, 50 clients. Bringing them on board allowed them to coach another 30 each. So that was like another 60 people being helped, another 60 people paying the company. So, of course, financially, benefit. Reputation, beneficial because there's more people involved, and overall growth, benefit because there's more people involved again. That then allowed me to stop coaching quite as many clients, and then I suppose build even more of an infrastructure, build even more systems, build even more things that would allow the company to continue to grow and scale. And then later on, further down the line, allow me to hire more people. Just gonna have that level of, I only coach 5 clients right now.
Do you?
Yeah. And even with those 5, it's very much like I'm coaching them because I've coached them for a while type thing.
It's like the loyal kind of clients that you've had all the time.
But equally, there's periods where sometimes I'm like, do you know what? I think I'll take 5-10 clients and I'll just pick up some clients. It's easy enough for me to like market and just pick up people off the like just a thought of that. But yeah, now I've got time to actually do the other things, like manage my finances better. You know, the stuff that you tend to neglect when you're just in doing the job, you know? Yeah,
I do feel like that. Sometimes I feel like not even like my coaching, but things do take a hit when you're like that busy. And like you said, there's only one of you, so you can only do kind of so much without kind of getting the help. So they then come on board. How does it progress from there? I know that you said that, you know, they had clients they picked up really, really quickly. Because now you've got, you know, a massive team of coaches working under you. So who was the third one? Was it Alex?
Alex was the third. Yeah. We've had a few coaches come and go as well. Don't get me wrong. It's not been like everything's worked out. Like we've had coaches that it's not worked out with. We've had coaches that it's worked out with, you know, for a year, and then maybe they've went their own way. So I think there's 7 of us right now. I think there's been a point where there was 10 at the same time, and that was like hard to manage. But yeah, 2020, we properly launched the company. So MTN Coaching, that was just the 3 of us still, me, Ryan and Dale. And then Alex came on board, and then we had, I think, 3 more coaches come on board at that time. So that was like the busiest time. And then I think lockdown hit. So that was do you know what?
Challenging time.
Lockdown was quite possibly the best thing that's happened to MTN.
Was it really?
We were fully online before lockdown hit, so we were a year 2 years ahead of everyone. So as soon as people needed online plans, like we were the first.
We were there. Yeah.
That's when we launched our first like group program, which had I think 423 people get on board. So it was like the first product that I sold that wasn't like a service, if that makes sense.
What was that, like a one-off kind of payment that you would pay?
That was called the Fat Loss Project, which is now still a product. But the difference was like you would sign up, you had access to like a choice of 6 programs, and you joined our community group and you ran this program for 8 weeks. So that was the first thing that we done at scale. Like before that, there was, you know, 7 coaches, but they all just had 20 to 40 clients each. And then lockdown hit, and I was like, you know what, like fuck it, let's try and like launch something big, like create this big community, create this kind of positive environment. Like people needed it. In fact, that wasn't the first thing we did. The first thing that we did was we sold something called the Positivity Project, which is by far the most cringe name of anything that I've ever created. And do you know what that was? I think it was $11.99. It was a training plan that you could do at home, and it was 12 emails over a month period that were about positivity and mindset and self-belief and not fucking ending your life whilst you're stuck in the house watching shit on telly. So that was the first thing we sold, and I suppose that was the first time I was like, shit, this is pretty scalable. Like I don't know what we made. Maybe we made like £1,500, but it was off something that somebody bought once and I never had to do anything.
Yeah,
Like, just
it's like kind of passive income almost.
So that kind of opened my eyes, and then we launched the fat loss project off the back of that, which was like an 8-week fat loss challenge. And then I suppose like it was just a weird 18 months of like, are we in a lockdown? Are we not in a lockdown? We certainly grew like exponentially over that time frame, got phenomenal results even from home workouts and stuff like that. So that kind of put us on the map type thing and really kind of cemented us as like the online coaching company in Glasgow. And what would that have been? 2021? 2021 is when we launched the first 12-week peak, which was like our big kind of physique, proper, transformation program. And then, it's just, we've just kind of rinsed and repeated, I suppose. We've just seen what's worked, doubled down on it, seen what's not worked, and taken our foot off the gas.
You've got a formula there and it's obviously worked, so just rinse and repeat it for as long as you can. But do you think that then releasing kind of one-off kind of services or one-off plans like that has been one of the kind of keys for you that has got so many clients? Because it's something that I've not even really done. I've always just I've got clients pretty much.
100%. It's you know what? It's a funnel as well. It's a funnel to get people into the premium coaching after. Right. Like something like the Fat Loss Project's £199. So it's £99 a month pretty much. It's a little bit more DIY. There's a lot of education involved, but once they've done that, most people are like, I love that. Like, what else do you do? And then we upsell them into like a higher tier of coaching, which would be like our premium coaching service. So it's, again, I think it's something that we've done better than most people. That's why I love it, because so many people have tried fat loss challenges and they're like, oh, it's a nightmare. It didn't work for me. But we've done it pretty well from the get-go. And it's been quite a nice way to get a ton of people involved and working with us for a really cheap price point. And then for us to be like, this is what we can give you for, £99 a month, like what we can give you for like £250, £275 a month, with like premium coaching or something like that. So it's been a really good funnel for us from a business perspective, but equally it's been a great way to just work with so many fucking people.
Now, if you had like a business mentor or anything, because I'm sitting like obviously talking to you here, and the one thing that I'm thinking is you've literally just went from being a kind of one-to-one PT to now having all of these coaches working under you with hundreds and hundreds of clients. So surely you don't do that yourself. Did you have any help or anything, or did you have anybody to look up to, any role models? Or
I mean, and like I mentioned at the start of this, Sean McCready, like the guy that owns pizza shops, he was my first client mentor that just opened my eyes to just achieving more, getting more from life. Like he was the first person in that sense. From a business perspective, I have worked with 2 different mentors, and if I'm being completely honest, they didn't provide me with very much. They allowed me to. Do you know what the biggest thing that I've gained from them is like, holy shit, like I can do this. Because it wasn't a good experience, if that makes sense. So
if they can do it stealing a living pretty much, then I can do it, but actually make it 10 times better.
100%. But outside of that, my biggest mentors have been like just actually like reading and learning myself, like Dan Kennedy from a marketing perspective, people like Russell Brunson, Alex Hormozy in the last 3 years.
Thank you for the book.
There you go.
He brought me a book in before the podcast, so no, I'm buzzing. My mum will be buzzing as well, so they'll actually be reading something now.
Like I said, let's get pictures. So
I know, big words in that, it's good for me.
So no, I binge watched a lot of like marketing stuff like early on. I think a lot of it's like self-education, to be honest. I've been inspired by people as well, don't get me wrong. Like you watch a lot of people growing up and you're like Chris Guzman, for example, or Jeff Nippard, people like that. So you can binge consume content like that, and that kind of allows you to start seeing and growing. But a lot of my growth's come from just trying things and failing, and then seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and like I said, doubling down on the things that do work.
And do you feel as if you've like grown as an actual coach as well? Like you're not just, when you first started, I take it was just like the kind of bodybuilding kind of style of training that you had with clients. So you're pretty, have you got a kind of variety now of what you would do? Yeah,
I mean, our biggest niche is still like body transformations.
Okay.
Like if people want to work with MTN, like it's generally because they want to change how they look.
Yeah.
Does changing how you perform in turn lead to that? It can, yes, but like our biggest focus is still on people wanting to look better. And there's definitely been a shift in the market in the last like year towards, functional and high rocks and hybrid.
I feel like it's pure going a bit kind of crazy, man.
But people will always want to improve how they look. People will always want to improve their appearance. It's like people are naturally like they gravitate towards wanting to change their physique in that sense. So yeah, we've kind of we've always dabbled and we've done a wee bit of functional stuff and this and that, but like at the end of the day, our roots are like getting people to love how they look, to love how they feel, love how they perform as well.
Yeah, the reason I asked you that, you're currently doing, are you doing more kind of high rocks kind of style of training currently yourself, or?
I'm doing a little bit of running. I've actually hired a coach, so I'm working with someone. Do you know what? I actually just wanted to change my style of training. I've always done the bodybuilding style of training. I've, you know, done higher calorie phases, lower calorie phases, maintenance phases. I was like, do you know what? I used to be so athletic. Like I used to have like the highest box jump in Scotland. No, I didn't, but I used to be able to box jump like.
I would have fucking believed that.
Super high, like, I was super athletic growing up, like proper fast twitch muscle fibers, and like I was just like this wee spring. And I feel I've lost that, so I was like, do you know what? I want to get that back.
You can jump quite high in a box, so am I making that up?
No, I can. I'm like weirdly explosive. For like, it doesn't benefit me in any way, but I can jump really high.
Yeah, I remember seeing like stories maybe for like a couple of years ago, and you were jumping up these mad boxes. I was like, what the fuck? But it was like from like the actual ground and stuff that you were jumping up to it as well.
So like that style of training, like I used to love that, and it used to be beneficial for sport. Like when I done karate, like that would be useful. So that's why I done it. But actually, like if I look at the training, I enjoy it. I love swinging about from bars. I love doing muscle ups. I love trying different things.
Pure prehistoric shit, kind of.
Exactly, swinging about. I had a jungle gym in my back door when I was younger. My granddad built it, and I think I've just ingrained to like have monkey bars in my life.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I think the reason I wanted to ask you about that is because you kind of touched on it. It has been up until this point very bodybuilding kind of training, and you know, just to kind of look better. And even personally as well, I feel like I'm getting a wee bit kind of just bored with it. Like I don't feel like I'm that passionate about bodybuilding. I've got no interest in going on stage or anything or competing. So I don't know if you've seen, I broke my elbow. This is the first day I'm actually out my sling, but I was like, after that, I kind of really want to get more into the kind of functional fitness. I just think it's all very well and good, kind of looking good, but if you actually can't move about or be athletic, then are you really kind of fit and healthy?
I think training needs to come in cycles. I think there's been such a shift towards CrossFit and functional training in the last 18 months. Like I've seen a massive shift in high rocks as well. But the people that are excelling in that are generally coming from a bodybuilding background. Why? Because they've got a solid baseline of strength. They've got a solid baseline of muscle. So I would say for most people, like you should spend various phases of your training life. Like that there should be phases. You should maybe do 12 weeks of like powerlifting. You should maybe do 12 weeks of strict strength work. You should maybe do 12 weeks of strict bodybuilding work. I think you should, like, if you want to be, you know, the best version of yourself and learn the most about yourself and learn more about what your body can do. I think you should cycle through things. Like I done sport when I was younger, so I had a very athletic background. I've done 10Ks, I've done a bodybuilding show, I've done powerlifting to a degree.
Oh, have you done a show as well?
Men's physique when I was young.
Did you?
It was bad. So like I've kind of dabbled in all of these areas, and I think again as a coach that gives you a much broader understanding of people. And I think for us, like as a company, don't get me wrong, our niche, our main thing is always going to be body comp. Like people want to look better, that is our thing. But we've seen a lot of people do that for like 2 years with us, and then they're like saying exactly what you said there. They're like, do you know what? I just want to like run a little bit, and I want to jump, and I want to do this. And it's like, well, maybe that's what we look to create next as a natural cycle for people to go into next. But
you've got the kind of systems in place. You've got the coaches there that have got that kind of wide variety of anything that no matter. Would you ever turn away clients? I know not personally, I know you don't really take clients, but would you turn away people?
Have in the past, yeah. Okay. People that, like, I mean, vegans for one, I absolutely hate. So, really? To be honest, like I won't be able to get the same results with a vegan that a vegan coach will. So if there's certain instances like that, or if they've got limitations regarding certain movements or whatever, I've turned down tons of clients in the past. Equally, I've refunded clients that I just don't like working with.
What, you've actually refunded them?
Yeah.
Why?
Because we've just not gelled as people. I think you need to have a certain level of relationship with your client, in my opinion. And you should share similar beliefs in a lot of things. And sometimes if you're not aligned like that, you maybe shouldn't work together. I'm happy. I've refunded tons of people. I have zero. I think that's a good position to be in financially. Like I'm able to do that. But it's also a powerful position to be like, look, I don't think this is working. Like I can find you another coach, and I've always done my best to try and find them someone else to work with. But I've refunded tons of people. And
that's interesting that you say refunded though, because I just assumed you would have said, listen, this isn't working. Like I think you should just kind of leave. Why give them the money back?
I've always had a guarantee of like, if you're not happy with the service, or I don't feel like I can provide you with what you initially wanted, I'll refund you. 100% money back guarantee.
And is that because you're that confident in your kind of abilities that is going to work pretty much?
Confident in that. Well, a few things. It's a great sales technique for one. If I'm being completely transparent, saying to someone from the get-go, like before they sign up, look, if you're not happy, I'll refund you. Like it takes away any like risk for them. They're like, well, great.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's for one. And for two, like if I don't want to work with someone, I'm more like I don't want their money. Like I don't deserve to have their money. Like they're not getting the service that they're paying for. So I've got zero problem refunding people. I say that as if it happens a lot. It really doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah.
Like looking at like something like the 12-week peak last year, there was 356 people done that, and we refunded 3 people. One was a pregnancy, one person's house went on fire,
oh my God.
and the other one just were like, this isn't for me. So like that's totally fine. 3 different reasons, but I'm more than happy to, because I don't really see the point of keeping someone's money if they're not going to get the service. It's different if someone signs up and they're just blatantly like ignoring what we're saying type thing. But people have always appreciated it. But we've always spoke like a lot about having a guarantee and having a money back guarantee, and it's worked very well from a business perspective. That's
really interesting to see that you said that it was a very good like sales technique as well, because it does just remove that kind of risk or that nervousness. Maybe you're like, shit, this guy's that confident that like I will get my money back if this doesn't work. Yeah, that's class. Now let's actually talk about the 12-week peak in a wee bit more detail, because I would say that this has been like your biggest thing, if that's correct.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you explain the 12-week peak to people that maybe don't know what it is that are listening in?
Yeah, so the 12-week peak is a 12-week physique transformation program. So it's a group online coaching program with year one was 121, then it was 250, and then this year was 350. So it's growing like exponentially every single year. I suppose the thing that sets it apart, we give away like ridiculous holidays. So the last 2 years we've flown 4 different people to Cancun, Jamaica, Dominican, to Cancun actually, on like all-inclusive holidays for like winning the competition. So as a physique, like it's a competition at the end of the day. It's to achieve the most dramatic transformation. And yeah, it's just fucking growing like arms and legs for the last few years.
It's crazy. I just feel like every year you put it out, it just gets bigger and bigger and better.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I think one of the most popular things about it is like, we're an online coaching company. We don't necessarily have a community because it's all online. Like, cool, you can create a Facebook group that people use for a week and then ditch. But there's never really been a massive community aspect of MTN. And with the 12-week peak, we created that. We had meetups every single weekend. We done hill walks, cold dips. We done a sports day. We done, you know, all these things that just brought people together. And especially, I think we launched the first one right after lockdown. So it was like at a time when people just needed community. They needed that. And then we have like ridiculous after parties. So the first one we actually held in our gym at the time. The second one we held in Sanctuary nightclub, which was a laugh. And then last year we had a black tie ball, which was phenomenal. So we're going to have another black tie ball next year. And again, I think just giving people the opportunity to meet people like-minded people and all working towards a common goal and then celebrating at the end of it, like it's a phenomenal like experience. Like I absolutely like love it.
I was going to say, honestly, I was going to say, like, I was just kind of trying to deep it from your perspective. You must be like at these kind of parties after and looking about and being like, this is all fucking stemmed from me.
Mental. Like this year especially, because I had to make a speech, which I absolutely ballsed up. But yeah, I was just looking out. There was, how many tables was there? 25 tables of 10. Yeah, that would have been about right. I was just looking out, like everyone suited and booted. Everyone looked absolutely fucking amazing. Everyone had just finished dieting for 12 weeks. So everyone looks and feels the best they've ever felt. And yeah, I was just looking out like, what the fuck? Like, how have I brought like so many people here? So yeah, that's the most proud I've ever been of like MTN and of myself in a sense, and like bringing all that together. So yeah, that's amazing, and I can't wait for that. Like that's just going to continue to grow. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the next one.
No, it's been amazing to see. And actually, about the 12-week peak, what is different from it compared to your just kind of normal coaching services?
So premium coaching for us is, you know, you work directly with a coach. They tailor a plan to you regarding what gym you're in, you know, ability, any injuries, like everything's kind of tailored and catered to you as an individual. So it costs a little bit more to do premium coaching. With the 12-week peak, you select, you know, male or female, and you select a choice of a program each. So there's, you know, 200 people following the same program, which people might say, oh, but like, how are you going to get results? See, at the end of the day, movement's movement. Like you can get good results by me and you could do the exact same program and get fucking amazing results. Like it largely doesn't matter. A squat's a squat, a deadlift's a deadlift, a lunge. Like you can add in variations. Maybe a split squat suits you better than a walk and lunge, whatever. But on the most part, providing that you're training with a decent intensity, follow a program, you'll see good results.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I think there's so much pressure, like, for people to be doing all these big fancy kind of programs. But I would say, like, the kind of clients that we coach, probably like lifestyle kind of clients, nobody really gives a shit about why we are, you know, getting our elbow down into the side of our pocket here. They just want to come in, lose weight, get into good shape, and they'll fucking do anything that they want.
100%. And I mean, the 12-week peak is definitely something that's like ruffled a lot of coaches' feathers, and it's based on the popularity of it.
I wanted to ask you about that. Have you got negativity from it?
Hunters.
Have you? Right, that's a genuine question. I didn't know if you had.
You get the, you know, challenges are bad for people's mentality. You can't sustain this. We've never sold the 12-week peak as being sustainable. The 12-week peak is to get in the peak physique. If you look at Usain Bolt when he sprinted the 100-meter record, he can't do that year round. He can't do that every year. He peaks for that specific event, and then he can't run that speed for the rest of the year. It's the same as like any sort of competition. In my opinion, sustainability is not the goal of competition. To win a fucking competition is the goal of competition.
Yeah, you dial in for a kind of shorter period of time.
So we've got the whole, you know, all the sustainability coaches being like, you know, you can't sustain that. But it's the same coaches that are putting their clients on trend. It's the same coaches that are, you know what I mean? Like allowing their clients to eat chicken and rice every single fucking meal. So yeah, we've had some hate, usually from bodybuilder, like style coaches.
Mate, it's always from the fucking bodybuilders, but isn't it?
There's like a bitterness. And it's usually because they think they're the best coaches, but they're often the worst marketers. So I wouldn't say I'm the best coach. I don't know that much about biomechanics. I don't give a fuck that much about biomechanics. But from a marketing perspective, I've always been able to get people in the door, so that pisses off other coaches. So yeah, there's been like, I wouldn't even have said it's hate. It's just a little bit of bitterness that, to be honest, we've overcame every year. Like I said, we don't sell this on being the sustainable program. If you want to work with us and maintain your results forever, like do premium coaching. We can guide you through like a 12-month process, not a 12-week process. But yeah, the 12-week peak is to achieve something in a short time frame, and for most people that's what they need to actually get the bug to train. They need like something short and intense to get that kind of bug and get that drive that then transfers into something that's, you know, 12-week peak, you only train 4 days a week. It's not like we're asking you to train 7 days. For a lot of people, it's the initial thing that they need, and the amount of friendships that we've created through the 12-week peak is probably the thing that I'm most proud of. Like people that never had any sort of healthy influences in their life that now have gym friends, that now have gals that go for coffee every weekend. Like, so it's been phenomenal.
That's cool as well. You've actually not even relationships personally with you, but you've created relationships that actual in that community. Yeah,
we get so many nice messages, usually from girls. Guys don't quite admit that they've made new friends or whatever, but so many girls that have like proper like got their girl gang has came from something like the 12-week peak. So it's been phenomenal for that. I'm interested to see next year, because like I said, we're looking at the kind of the shift towards Hyrox, the shift towards, you know, functional fitness. Will it be quite as popular next year? I hope so. But yeah, do you know what, like even if it's 200 people next year instead of 350 again, like 200 people working towards this is like phenomenal. It's such a good program. So
did you get any negativity about having like a prize involved, like a holiday prize? And the only reason that I'm asking you this is I seen a coach down in England and they were promoting a challenge, and it was like a holiday at the end, and then he was getting so much shit saying that like you're promoting
people pushing an extreme.
Pretty much. But now I just look at it and it's like, it's just an extra bit of motivation to fucking
that again, that's one of the things that people pushed back on, like coaches. It's never clients clients don't fucking care. They don't care. They just want to win the holiday. Like competition is one of the main drivers in life. Competition is how people get ahead. Competition, like I love competition. I'm in competition with everyone, and a lot of people don't admit that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with competition. But yeah, we definitely got some negative feedback from coaches being like, you know, that will make people go to the absolute extreme in order to win. I'm like, that's not a bad thing necessarily. Cool, don't get me wrong, I don't want people starving themselves. It's never been the case. I don't want women losing their menstrual cycle. Cool, like I don't want that. Of course I wouldn't want that. I don't want people pushing it to that extreme. But equally, I think there's been a lot more people gained from having that level of competition than people that have, you know, felt negatively about it. I'm sure there's people that have done the 12-week peak that, you know, they were really motivated by the competition and they didn't win, and it's like really put them off it. It's maybe not the best mindset to have, but there's people like that. Like, of course there is.
Why do you think it's a lot of the time like a lot of the bodybuilders are the ones kind of giving shit?
I don't know. Ego, roid rage. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I think it's because I always see with bodybuilder coaches, they're looking for Gen Pop clients and they don't get them. They only get other bodybuilder coaches because it makes sense, bodybuilder clients. So I think there's just a level of bitterness on like the volume of people. End of the day, like I've got a Gen Pop niche, so do you. Like it's just normal. It's just your everyday person.
Yep.
It's the best niche to have because there's fucking hundreds of them. If you choose bodybuilders as your niche, like you're gonna struggle getting clients because there's way less of them. Like not that many people do or are interested in bodybuilding. Most people are interested in looking good for Ibiza every year. Aye,
and that's it. I know they don't actually really care about ins and outs.
I think that's part of it. And then again, the bodybuilders are all about the sustainability thing, which I'm like just baffles me because they all compete, which is quite literally the most unhealthy thing you can do. It's basically the 12-week peak on steroids, like literally. Or it's a 12-week peak and then you push yourself for another like 6-8 weeks. So it's like, there's nothing sustainable about bodybuilding. Like, come on.
No, I think the reason I asked you that, sometimes I get a bit kind of down about, you know, I don't know, maybe not imposter syndrome, but sometimes I've got quite down about the fact that like I'm not in pure crazy kind of amazing shape. And that's almost kind of made me feel like I've got no like right being a coach in the industry.
Nah.
But yeah, and then I had a conversation with somebody about it. It's like, that's just not who your niche is, so it doesn't matter. But it took me a long while to actually kind of
I think one of the biggest things to look at is like, as long as you're like 2-3 steps ahead of your client from a knowledge and an information and a motivation and an accountability standpoint, like you're going to be able to help people.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think that should be the case at all. One, you're in way above average shape. Yeah. Cool. Maybe you're not, you know, a jacked cover model year round, but your clients aren't aspiring to be that. Like you're naturally not going to get that type of client. It's the same as like I'm naturally not going to train a bodybuilder. Why? Because I don't do bodybuilding. You're not going to train a cover model probably because that's not you. But who are you going to train? You're going to train people that were in a similar position to you, that were maybe skinny fat 3-4 years ago, or that maybe struggled with their weight growing up. So I think you naturally attract clients that, I think the easiest client to help is someone that's been like you, or that was like how you were 3-4 years ago, because you've got the same struggles, you've overcame the same problems that they have. So I think that's not a way to look at it. I think you can help a fucking ton of people, and you clearly have already. Yeah,
no, I appreciate that, bro. That's actually made me feel fucking better about myself already, man. So let's then talk about a bit of kind of, not negativity, but if you, it's all been kind of very smooth sailing, like you said, but what have been the biggest kind of struggles that you've had to overcome? Because like I said, from you, it seems like it's just went 0 to 100 like that.
Nah, there's been plenty of like road bumps along the way. Like I said, we've had coaches that have come and went. There's been problems there. There's been, you know, issues with coaches coming in the brand, looking at what we're doing, taking what we're doing, leaving. Right. That's been a struggle, or struggles at times. I think one of the other things is just like, running a business is fucking hard. There's so many moving parts. Like that everyone thinks an online coach, you just online coach, but you need to become a videographer, a marketer, a copywriter. You need to learn finances. You need to learn photography. You need to learn automations. You need to learn how to build a product. You need to learn client communication. You need to learn customer care. There's so many parts. I think the biggest struggle for me is just being like, fucking, what thing do I do right now? Like, what do I prioritize here? Other than that, like we've had moments like hate online from certain people and whatever else, but
can we chat about that? You don't need to if you don't want to.
We can chat about that.
We want to chat about it. So there was something kind of fairly recently, was it?
Yeah. So I was in a stag do in Prague, and we dressed one of our mates up in a outfit that maybe didn't please the masses. Oh no, do you know what? Actually, that's wrong. It didn't please some people. We kind of blew up on Twitter, so we got a lot of like negative press because of that. But it was never any sort of intention to be offensive to anyone. But you know what? In this day and age, it's hard to post anything without offending someone. You're big on TikTok. I can imagine the comments that you get on some things.
Yeah, I get so much shit all the time. Yeah.
That was tough. Like there was a lot of like negative press. Equally, there was a lot of people that were like, that knew us, that knew there was no negative intention behind it. It was taken the wrong way. We posted it when we were all out drinking. Do you know what I mean? It was one of the ones. That was a fucking hard experience, especially I was wrecked at the time. Like I was absolutely mad. Woke up the next day, phone had blown up. A million retweets. So that was pretty horrendous. But
did that? Sorry, on you go.
I learned a lot from it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And did it like actually affect your business at all now? Or it was more just at a point everybody was kind of talking about it.
Do you know what? It was throughout the 12-week peak, which was our biggest thing ever. I mean, people say, all press is good press. I actually disagree. I think like the feeling that gave me in my stomach, I felt like I don't want to offend anyone. Yeah. Even if I think it's offensive or not offensive, it doesn't matter. If it's offended somebody, I don't particularly feel good about that. Did we lose money because of it? I don't think so. People maybe didn't sign up during that time. Yeah. I don't know, but I can't say from a financial or from a business growth standpoint, it like negatively affected us that I could have seen like visually. From a reputation standpoint, yeah, I'm sure like some people didn't like it and don't like us now. That's just the nature of life, I suppose. You're not going to please everyone. Yeah. Looking back at it, it's one of those ones people say, "Oh, you know, no regrets." I was like, "Oh, cool. I wish it didn't. I wish we didn't post it on the business page."
Right. Okay. That's actually what I was going to ask you as well. Because I'm in complete agreement with me. I just feel like everybody's offended at the sake of everything nowadays, and you need to be so careful with what you're saying and doing. So personally, I probably wouldn't have posted that obviously online. Yeah. But that was one of the questions. Did you obviously regret it?
Totally. You know. I learned from it, but I could have probably been doing without learning from it. If you know what I mean? Like,
and I think to be honest, I think it's also not that deep as well, because knowing 100%. You, again, there was no like malicious intent behind it as well. You're on a stag. Let's just be real. You're on a stag with your pals, having a laugh with each other, carrying on, whatever.
Yeah, do you know, it was an immature mistake. We've learned from it. We've got plans in place to make sure that never happens again. And but on the other side, like there is a part of me that like if I didn't have a business, I would have doubled down with a lot of my thoughts on things. Yep. Because there was plenty of people that had seen the funny side of it and whatever else. So like I said, do you know what? You're not going to keep everyone happy all the time. Exactly. Like that's life. There's always going to be opposing views and things. There's always going to be opposing opinions, and I think that's part of like living. Like you're always
how the world goes round, doesn't it?
Various opinions and on various things.
It is, and again, it's good that you actually kind of use that and you used it to learn from it as 100%. Well. And you need to have these failures and mistakes as well, or else you're never really actually kind of grow as a person. Yeah,
100%. I mean, that was a tough one to learn from type thing, and it was hard at the time. But looking back now, I'm like, do you know what? Like we did learn from it, and there's been plenty of things like that. Like from a business investment standpoint, like fuck me, like I've wasted so much money. Like
have you?
Oh, so much money.
On what?
I spent £7,500 on a logo pretty much once. Well, it was on branding, which when it all came back and I got it back, it was pretty much a logo that I got from it. That was like year one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, 16 grand on a business mentor that was absolutely bollocks.
16 grand?
Yeah. What else?
Why was it bollocks? Why was it in what way? Just not worth 16 grand?
Not worth 16 grand. Like the biggest thing that I got from it is he recommended books. Like great books, don't get me wrong, but like fuck me, like
I could have got a recommendation if I could go Amazon, for free.
Yeah. That was a huge waste. Do you know what waste? But like also again, taught me to like do my due diligence. You know what I mean? It taught me to like look into things a little bit more. I'm quite I'm an easy sell. So if you're listening and you want to sell me something, just DM me, I'll probably buy it. So no, I've made some stupid business investments. Like I've probably poured down the drain like 50, 75k on like crap. Yeah, like absolute pish. Whether it's working with a consultant or bringing someone on board. Equally, I've made some amazing business decisions and spent a lot of money on things that have worked out as well. But I suppose that's a big part of business that people don't necessarily talk about, especially in this day and age. Everyone's showing the highlight reel and they're showing all the success that they've had. But I've lost a lot of money on stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably some of the biggest. So there's another one. Clothing, we started kind of having merchandise. That was about 8.5 grand. I think I've sold about 3. So
what is that current with the current MTN stuff?
Do you know it's also one of those ones that's like I don't push it, I don't promote it. So there's been stuff like that. But again, you kind of learn from all these things. Like I learned a lot about buying stock and I learned a lot about branding and all that. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of learn from things, but equally like I have wasted a lot of fucking money.
A shit ton of money. Yeah. I suppose you learn from it. It's maybe just a bit more of a kick in the teeth.
Oh, it feels horrible looking back, but hopefully no more of them.
So what does the future have in store then for you, for MTN? Because I'm interested to hear, because to me, I'm looking at your 12-week peak and I'm like, that's you sorted. But I know that you'll want to be taking it to the next level.
Yeah, I think I look at fitness companies in general or coaching companies in general. There's not many that last 3 or 4 years. Like we're only 4 years in. From a company standpoint, 4 years is absolutely nothing. When you look at like the giants, you look at the big companies, they're all 15, 20, 25, 50 years old, 100 years old, whatever. I think one of my biggest things is actually just longevity. It's like sticking with the one thing that works. Like I know that this is a lucrative business. I know that I love the business. I know that I love the people that I work with, the coaches, the clients, the consultants, whoever else that we work with. For me, it's like, let's just get to 10 years. Like, let's just see what the company looks like in 10 years, because I look at what we've achieved in 4 and I'm like, fuck, that's pretty cool. And I was like, well, what will 8 look like? What will 12 look like?
You can't even you can't picture it. Nah,
because if I look back 4 years ago, I would, there's not, like, cool, I had ambition, but it was almost like you didn't believe the ambition. You just kind of set these kind of lofty goals, and I've achieved a lot of them. So now I'm like, well, do the same again, keep working. And I think looking at the day to day, like this week's been like a weird down week for me. Like, I've not felt like I'm kind of working towards my main goal and whatever. And I've just felt a little bit off. And it's like, you're going to get weeks like that. You're going to get weeks, even months, that feel like that. But when you look back across like a big time horizon, it's like, fuck me, like the trajectory's been pretty solid. Yeah. So I think from a growth standpoint, like, cool, keep doing more numbers for the 12-week peak, but I want more coaches on board. I want different styles of coaches on board. I just want a massive brand. Like, I want something that, maybe not a household name, but like a household name from a fitness perspective. Like March On is like an inspirational brand for me. Like, March On is one of my favorite brands. Cool, it's not a household brand. Like, my mum doesn't know what March On is. But when you speak to anyone in the fitness industry, they're like, oh, Ollie March On, he's killing it. Like, that's the kind of level of brand awareness that I'd love to kind of have. So keep building the brand, keep making mistakes, I'm sure, as well. Just keep going up in that upward trajectory. Yeah, I like that upward trajectory. Trajectory. Fucking hell, man. Jeez, it's been a long day, man. But I like that thing that you shared in your Instagram story the other day, and it was all the different graphs, because it is so important. I always say this to my clients as well. I hate coming on a check-in and seeing, oh, I've had a terrible week because I've not been motivated this week. And I was having a conversation with somebody, but it's like, you're not meant to be motivated all the time. Your journey isn't going to be, you know, smooth sailing. When you're looking at it like that, there is going to be bumps. So if you look at it overall, then you want it obviously to be going up. Yeah, totally. I think that's something that I've learned a lot across the last probably 18 months to 2 years. Like, you're not meant to be happy all the time. You're not meant to make progress all of the time. Exactly. Like, it's never, and it's the same with a physique goal. It's the same with a business goal. It's the same with your relationship. Like, most people's relationships have ups and downs. You have arguments, whatever else. And I think being okay with that is something that I've just like recently accepted. And I used to get stressed out when I didn't feel motivated, and I was like, what the fuck's wrong with me? Like, why don't I, like, I've got goals, so why aren't I motivated? Whereas now I'm like, you know what, that's just part of the process. Like, the good feelings and the, you know, the 12-week peak ball and the 12-week peak photo shoot, and seeing those things, like, they don't feel as good without some of the shitty times anyway. Yeah. Like, they don't. You almost need something to compare it to. So you need the bad with the good. And you're not looking then too far into the future. You want to make it a massive, obviously, you know, household brand, but there's nothing out there that's like specific kind of targets that you want to hit. Or are you like, would you like to go global with MTN? I mean, we've got clients all over the world anyway. So like it doesn't really matter to us. It's easier for us if all our clients are from Glasgow, if I'm being completely honest, because we're all from Glasgow/Edinburgh. So it doesn't matter if my clients are like Saudi or New York. Like, we've got clients over there, but I don't mind if it's global or not right now. The biggest thing is just like the amount of people that we can help. And if that's just Scotland initially, fine with me. If it's then the UK, great. If it's then Europe, amazing. So no, I see us being able to, like, with it being an online business and with us having like scalable services, fat loss project, growth project, 12-week peak, there's like an unlimited amount of people that can get involved in that. Like, it doesn't need to be capped because I can only manage 50 clients. So there's scope for us to just grow and grow and grow. Like, that's one part of the business, but I've always been interested in maybe doing like a fitness retreat and having that as another leg of the business. And so I think with fitness, there's so many different kind of avenues you can go down, which is exciting. But equally, it's like, just focus on the one thing, like scale the coaching, you know. Yeah, don't go too far ahead. Don't go too far ahead. Now, listen, thank you so much for coming on, mate. I really do appreciate it. Personally, for me, not to bum you up, but you have been like a kind of inspiration to me as well. It's inspiring to see you going from just being a kind of standard, normal 1-to-1 PT to now running this empire. And yeah, I'm very, very excited to see how it grows. I'll definitely have you back on, because it was good to actually kind of get to know you a bit more. So I would like to kind of get you back on to maybe go more in depth into the kind of business and fitness kind of side of things as well, if you'll come back on. Of course. Man. No, thank you so much, David. Appreciate it, mate. Cheers, bro. Cheers. Thank you.